And we are live from the heartland of America to your heart. I need to adjust my camera. So sorry. Thank you for being here. I'm Jeffey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We appreciate you checking things out. We know that it gets a little rambunctious sometimes, and we don't mind people sharing their opinions just as long as you share it and don't try to dominate the conversation. After all, if you're here, you do have a channel of your own, and that would be the place for you to proselytize and be demanding and more forward with your doctrines and beliefs. And I would encourage you and even help you do that. But we just don't allow you to dominate things here because that's my damn job. But it's nice to have you all here. Big information today. The big information really is that you do not have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. You don't have to go on bended knee to their Savior because you don't need salvation because you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about touching one of the untouchable, one of the proverbial third rails, the Anunnaki. And oh my goodness, people get really, really upset about that. I want to try something before we get started. I want to see if this allows me to hear and maybe use my inside voice. So let me see if I can hear myself with these. I'm not sure if I can. And I never take the time in between studying to get ready for the next show to see. So let's see what happens right now if I try it. Do I hear myself in the headphones? I do not. There's got to be a way to do it. Got to run it through the soundboard, but I don't have the right size plug. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get there because I'm trying not to scream myself hoarse now that we're doing the unindoctrinate special content and the regular content here. But let's jump right in. And also, of course, this first segment comes to you by MISTech. By way of MISTech, keep yourself tuned to the Ideal Schumann Residence. Wear the MISTech jewelry. See the blood results on the channel. See the EMF results on the channel. See the Carillion photography results right here on this channel. It works. You get a full 20% off. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com and click on the MISTech logo. Okay, here we go, folks. Rushing in where angels fear to tread, but angels are bad anyway. They're reptilian. See, the hits just keep coming. A rat bastard by any other name, of course, is still a rat bastard, borrowing a phrase from Shakespeare. And I want to talk today about the inexplicable, at least in my mind, the inexplicable allure of Enki and Enlil. I just don't get it. But yet, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. And let's see what we come up with here, folks. Okay. Now, I have to ask, because I watch and I listen and I get the emails and I get the comments and I get all of the information coming at me. Are you really, and I'm asking you personally, each one of you, are you really unindoctrinated? Are you really unindoctrinated? If you're watching this, you have either gotten past or are well on your way to getting past the fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix of Abrahamic religion. You've seen the blood poisoning. You know about the enslaving ways of crosses and atonement and saviors and salvation and carrying crosses and praying and mons, which are GODSs. You've seen the enslaving effects of all of that. But are you really unindoctrinated? You've grown past giving carte blanche to old stories in old books told by old religions. And since we don't go past a word, and you may not know this one, what is carte blanche? Carte blanche means to give complete freedom to act as one wishes, or to believe everything coming from a source without scrutiny. So if all those things are true, then why do so many of you still believe, and notice the LIE in the middle of every believe or belief? Why do so many of you still believe and defend and get angry over the Enki and Enlil narrative? And I was sitting here today asking myself that question because I got bombarded with some information about it. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, and I think Cynthia might have said something. Oh, it goes back to the A word, doesn't it? May I say it goes back to a lie? And you see what we got there? We got the A word, and then we got lie. So it goes back to a lie. What are you talking about, Jeff? Well, remember, once you become a believer, you're no longer an open researcher. And it doesn't matter what you believe. If you believe anything, then you're shut off to everything else. Because a believer says they know the truth, they know the totality, and they don't want to hear anything else. They know what they believe, and they don't want to be confused by the facts. I am not a believer. I will never be again a believer, because if I'm a believer, my mind is not open to receive new facts. And you know what? Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I'm a little slow. Maybe I ride the slow bus to work with a helmet. Maybe. But I don't want to shut myself off from any new input that would come to me. I don't want to shut myself off from any new facts and objective empirical information that might come my way, because I know I'm getting old. I'll be 57 this year. Starting in May, we'll be celebrating 40 years of unindoctrination, but I don't think I know everything yet. Contrary to what some of you believe, and contrary to what some of those that oppose me say, I know that I don't know everything. And I am not arrogant enough to believe anything. Harry says a believer is a deceiver. Well, at least a self-deceiver. I never believe because it shuts me off from other options and other opportunities. So I know you don't believe the B-I-B-L-E anymore, but many of you still believe in Enki. I know you left the rat bastard, but many of you still believe in Enki and Enlil. Why is the Anunnaki narrative so compelling? It's like a spell. There's a great thing on Twitter that Tracy sent me. I'm going to talk about that coming up soon. It really is like a spell. And the Anunnaki thing's like a spell. And even people that know still get taken in. And what's even funnier is when people that are flat earth believers get taken in by the whole Enki and Enlil thing, because they came from a freaking planet that circles the sun every 34,000 years or whatever. And you still believe in Enki and Enlil. Come on, man. Get your shit together. Oh, I'm feeling good today. Got in the water. Been in the sauna. Had a nice lunch. So let's talk about it. Once upon a time, the Anunnaki, or once upon an Anunnaki. And I know that it bothers some of you to hear me saying once upon an Anunnaki. Why are you making fun of the Anunnaki? Well, that indicates if you get emotional about something, when somebody says something and you get emotional about it, that indicates that you might still have a very strong belief system because you're not interested in new information. When I'm watching someone and they say something that doesn't resonate with me, my first thing is, oh, let me listen to that. And then I listen a little bit, my blink kicks in, but I don't automatically shut something off because it doesn't match my system, because I don't have a belief system. But anyway, the Anunnaki, which is also transcribed as Anunnaki, Anuna, and Anunnaki. Listen to who they are. Listen to what they are. The Anunnaki are a group of deities. Deities. We're divine, we're sovereign, we're free, but we're still hooked hip deep with these deities. Is that okay with you? And that's the only question you have to answer. And they appear in mythological traditions like the Bible, like the AHAK, like Christianity, like LEMISH ism, like Islam. Is that okay with you to have a very strong belief in something that is based on a deity and part of a mythological tradition? Is that okay with you? It's from the ancient Sumerians, the ancient Akkadians, the ancient Assyrians, and the ancient Babylonians. And remember, the Babylonians are the creators of the money magic system that we all love so much and are enslaved by. So it's based on the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians. Sumerian religion was the religion practiced and adhered to by the people of Sumer, the first literate civilization of ancient Mesopotamia. And the Sumerians regarded their divinities as responsible for all matters pertaining to the natural and social orders. In other words, the Sumerian gods ran a fear and guilt blood magic control matrix. The Sumerians said, "You're gods. We're just people. You take care of everything. You tell us what to do, what not to do, where to go, where not to go, what to say, what not to say, what to grow, what not to grow." The Sumerian religion was based on obediently doing whatever a deity tells you to do. That sounds familiar. I've heard that somewhere. And personally, I find it a little bit distasteful. How do you find it? The Akkadian Empire was the first ancient empire in Mesopotamia. Well, great empire builder. I don't like to be a part of empire building. I'm glad the United States of America is waging peace again instead of war and pulling back instead of being an empire. We're a republic, not an empire. Pat Buchanan wrote a great book of that name as well. The empire ruled Acadia and Sumerian speakers under one rule. Don't we all want one world rule? Don't we all want one world government? Don't we all want one world system? But yet Enki, Enlil, the Anunnakis, the people that you can't separate yourself from, they were all about that. And then there's our friendly Babylonian friends. That's the religious practice of Babylonia. Babylonian mythology was greatly influenced by Sumerian counterparts, and the myths were written in Sumerian or Akkadian. And check this out. Some of the stories of the Tanakh are believed to be based upon, influenced by, and inspired by the legendary mythological past of the Near East. So the Tanakh is influenced by the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians. And, influence goes both ways, ladies and gentlemen. What's the Tanakh, and what does it have to do with this? Well, the Tanakh is believed to be based on or influenced by these stories contained in these religions of Sumer, Acadia, Assyria, Babylon. What's the Tanakh? It's the Hebrew Bible. The canonical Hebrew scriptures, including the Torah. How do we feel about believing the Hebrew scriptures? How do we feel about believing the LEMISH scriptures? How do we feel about bowing the knee to ITSAF? The Tanakh comes from Anunnaki lore. The Hebrew Bible comes from the Tanakh, and the Hebrew Bible is the textual source for the Extant Old Testament or LEMISH Testament. Do you see? Are you comfortable with? I love the Anunnaki. I love Enlil. I love Enki. It's true. It's real. It goes back to the Protestant Bible. It goes back to the Jewish Bible. It goes back into the traditions of the rabbis. Are you comfortable with that? So you didn't know that it all goes back to that. You didn't know that it all goes back to that. And are you okay with something based on the New Testament, based on the Old Testament, based on the Hebrew Bible? Are you okay with that? The Hebrew Bible is the textual source for the Christian Old Testament. The form of this text that is authoritative for Rabbinic Judaism is known as the Masoretic text, 24 books, while the translations divide essentially the same material into 39 books of the Protestant Old Testament. Are you okay with that? And then the Anunnaki, the reason you know about the Anunnaki, the reason you love the Anunnaki, because you think the Anunnaki is great, is from Zecharia Sitchin, period. If it weren't for Sitchin, you'd have never known about the Anunnaki. If it weren't for Sitchin, you would know the Anunnaki from the Shmanunnaki. It all is still religion. It's all still a story. It's like saying, I don't believe Grimm's fairy tales. Never would I believe that. But I think Mother Goose is the word of God. I think they're all fairy tales. And that's great. If you want to read a fairy tale, might learn a thing or two from it, might get some entertainment by it, great. But when you start reading a fairy tale, whether it's Aesop's Fables, the Brothers Grimm, Disney, the Exton Bible, or the Sumerian Enki and Enlils, they're all fairy tales. They're all made up stories. And to say that you are free from one story, but you're still hooked into another story, that's not unindoctrinated. That is not unindoctrinated. Well, I believe in Enki. Oh, you believe in Enki. I believe. Oh, you believe in Enlil. Oh, I see. Why? Probably because of Zecharia Sitchin. Let's look at this a little bit. Zecharia Sitchin wrote books proposing an explanation for the human origins involving ancient astronauts. Okay. If you're a flat earth believer and you think this is a closed system, they just lost you at ancient astronauts. Sitchin attributed the creation of the ancient Sumerian culture to the Anunnaki, which he stated was a race of extraterrestrials from a planet beyond Neptune called Nibiru. Okay. I know you don't want to hear this. I know you don't like to hear this. But if you believe in Enki and Enlil, you got to believe in Planet X and Nibiru too. It's the same story. You sound like a Exton saying, oh, I believe this verse, but not that verse. I like this concept, but not that concept. You can't do that. Enki and Enlil is from the same fairy tale storybook that talks about Planet X and Nibiru. Sitchin's ideas have been rejected by scientists and academics who dismiss his work as pseudoscience and pseudohistory. His work has been critical, and we don't really care that much about what scientists and academics say, but we do care about things passing peer review. We care about things passing what words really mean. And Sitchin's work is full of flawed methodology, flawed mistranslations, and incorrect astronomical and scientific claims. I've done the research myself. I didn't know this was such a big deal. That's why I haven't been talking about it until now. And I'm so glad that I do live my life and I do get to hang out constantly in a fluffy environment, a focused life force environment. It is literally high consciousness on demand. I live in a high consciousness environment, and it's much easier for me to distinguish truth from error, balance from unbalance, helpful from not helpful. It makes it easier for me to tell Shinola from shit. Go to JeffreyDaugherty.com, click on the fluffy logo. They give you 30 days free. Or don't be cheap. Buy it. It's $35 for a month. It'll change your life. So let's look at some of these claims, and let's look at some of these counterclaims. And I'm about to spin a brand new conspiracy theory for you folks. A brand new conspiracy theory. Are you ready for it? Mr. Zecharia Sitchin was born in Baku, Azerbaijan, the Soviet Socialist Republic of. He was raised in Mandatory Palestine. Do you know what Mandatory Palestine was? Mandatory Palestine was Israel before 1948. So he was born, raised in Mandatory Palestine, aka Israel. He has a degree in economics, not a degree in linguistics, not a degree in history. He didn't even have an associate's degree in, it's not anthropology like I do. He had a degree in economics. Would I let him balance my checkbook? Sure. Would I let him do my taxes? Maybe. Am I going to believe everything he says about linguistics? No. I'm going to check him out. He had a degree in economics. He moved to New York in 1952. He was working as an executive for a shipping company. Honorable work. And he taught himself Sumerian cuneiform. He taught himself Sumerian cuneiform. Okay, cool story, bro. Am I going to believe everything you say because you taught yourself? No. You got to pass peer review. The things you say have to match up with the dictionary of the words and the language that you're claiming to say it in. And all of Sitchin's work is centered around the idea of Nibiru, an undiscovered planet beyond Neptune that follows a long elliptical orbit, reaching the inner solar system every 3,600 years. Are you okay with that? It's up to you. It's up to you. And when Sitchin wrote his books, only specialists could read the Sumerian language. However, since 2006, the Sumerian lexicon has made the language more accessible to non-experts. It's like Bible Hub for the Sumerian language. And if you truly believe in, and this is not the place for you to push your beliefs, you can make a statement, but you can't ride the horse or we'll cut it out from underneath you. This is my rodeo. You got a channel, say whatever you want on it. I'll support you. But now, if you really believe Sitchin and you really believe the Anunnaki, then you better get your ass over to the Sumerian lexicon and you better check what he says words mean against what they now know they mean. Or, get a cunt out of my face. American biblical scholar Michael Heiser states he's found many inaccuracies in Sitchin's translations and challenges interested parties to use the book to check their validity, just like I just did. Professor Ronald Fritz says, Sitchin's assignment of meanings to ancient words is tenditious and frequently strained. Tenditious means kind of bullshitty. Fritz also commented on Sitchin's methodology, writing that when critics have checked Sitchin's references, like me, they found that he frequently quotes out of context or truncates his quotes in a way that means shortens them, in a way that distorts evidence in order to prove his contentions. Evidence is presented selectively and contradictory evidence is ignored. Sitchin based his arguments on his personal interpretation of pre-Nubian and Sumerian texts and the seal VA-243. Sitchin wrote that these ancient civilizations knew about a 12th planet. When you got to listen to me, I've done this. I've read, I've studied. Every single source that you find of Sumerian beliefs outside of Zecharia Sitchin, including the cuneiform tablets, conclusively states that the Sumerians believed in not 12 planets, but 5. 5. Sitchin found one picture with what he thought was a sun with 12 dots around it and used that one picture to say the Sumerians believe in 12 planets when there are reams of documents written by Sumerians saying we believe in 5. That's like me telling you that you believe in something when you don't believe in it. Hundreds of Sumerian astronomical seals and calendars have been decoded and recorded, and the total count of planets on each seal has been 5. It's empirical, objective data, scholarly data, or the data of a believer. Sitchin was an Anunnaki believer. What's in the middle of every believer? And I would argue, folks, that all the craze and devotion towards Enki and Enlil would not be alive today if it weren't for the demonstrably flawed work of Zecharia Sitchin, who, Buddha is right, he was a Freemason. But wait, there's more. Are you okay with that? It's up to you. Remember, Sitchin's work is based on the text that became the Hebrew Bible. Are you okay with that? It's up to you. Are you okay with that? Personally, when I resisted for so long the whole Anunnaki, the whole Sitchin thing, then I read the books, and Sitchin lost me at Shem. Some of you don't even know what that means, but yet you're still defending Enki, Enlil, and Sitchin. Shem, I knew from my Bible college days. I'm a Bible college graduate. I knew that Shem means name, period. And Sitchin wants to claim that Shem means rocket ship. If Shem means rocket ship, then I got a pretzel in my hand. And I don't. It's a pen. Now, I'm going to show you the entries in the gold standard for the Akkadian dictionaries. The Akkadian Dictionary. I'm going to show you the Chicago Assyrian Dictionary, which is produced by scholars of the Oriental Institute at the University of Chicago that don't believe in anything. They're just nerds. They just write shit down from history. And then we'll break it down after we show you this. Now, watch this. This is the Akkadian Dictionary. Sitchin, the Anunnaki believer, the Planet X believer, the Nibiru believer, says that Shem means rocket ship. That it means rocket ship. Here it shows you that it means name, but let's actually put it so where you can understand it. This is page 1. What does Shem mean? It means name, fame, reputation. What does it mean? Fame, reputation, famous, become famous, acquire unique, name, become famous. It doesn't matter what Sitchin said. Shem does not mean rocket ship. It didn't then, and it never will. And despite all of this evidence, and despite of all of this empirical, objective evidence that I'm presenting to you here today, lots and lots of you will still be indoctrinated by the Enki and Enlil magic. The freaking chat room's going nuts right now because I dare to say something bad about Enlil and Enki. You know what you remind me of? You remind me of a bunch of fake X-Gen truthers who love talking about 9/11 and love talking about FEMA and love talking about the Fed, but don't you question their New Testament or their Old Testament. Don't you point out that their religion is a blood magic mind control matrix. You remind me of them because you are them. You're their cousins, not mine, when you act this way. And lots of you, and I think mainly visitors, you're still indoctrinated by the Enki and Enlil magic, and Sitchin was the leader of that coven. Sitchin wrote the spells. And not only was Zecharia Sitchin a Freemason, We got cross clingers and we got inky clingers. Not only was Zacharias Sitchin a Freemason, Zacharias Sitchin had a audience with Pope John Paul. Do you know how hard it is to have a personal audience with Pope John Paul? You can't, it's almost impossible to get a personal audience with the Pope. Almost impossible. But Zacharias Sitchin had a personal audience with the Pope. Zacharias Sitchin was a Freemason. His work is shown to have been flawed. It's all based on stories that dovetail with the Hebrew AHAK. I suggest to you that it's time to unindoctrinate from Enki and Enlil, just like you did from Hebrew DISTU. And the question is, do you have enough courage to do so? Do you have enough courage to do so? It's up to you. Now, what if, here's my new conspiracy, not a theory, this is conspiracy hypothesis. Ooh, I like that. This is a conspiracy hypothesis. Let's just say that I was a crypto LEMISH individual. You're right, Tracy. Let's say I was a LEMISH, but I didn't want you to know that I was LEMISH. Or I was X-Gen, but I didn't want you to know that I was X-Gen. You know, like those that say that aren't, but those that are, but won't say they are. If I was a crypto LEMISH, or if I was a Jesuit, and I wanted to infiltrate the real truth movement, which whoever that is, I mean, I trust me and you, and sometimes I'm not sure about you. It's a joke. Of course, the 43,643 cousins I trust with my last dollar. But if I wanted to infiltrate the real truth movement with a damnable lie, what might I do? Well, one thing I might do, and especially if I knew that these people had freed themselves from the idea of original sin, I might create a narrative that says we were created as a slave race by a greater race. Oh, that means that I was created to dig and work. And I was created a slave race. That means there's a race that's better than me. And that gives me the same feelings as original sin does. Being created a slave gives me the same mindset and the same mental and spiritual frequency of a person with original sin. And the fact that there's this race that created me that's better than me, they're not God, but they're better than me. That makes me feel the same way as somebody that thinks that a savior is going to come back and save them and do something for them. Plus, the fact that I got created as a slave gives me something to blame. Oh, I can't help it. I was created to be a slave. It ain't my fault. The Anunnaki made me do it. Instead of the devil made me do it, the Anunnaki made me do it. Different names, same result. And then that means if there was some people that came from divinity and they made me, I'm not them, but they're still around, and somebody said they're flesh and blood, that would mean there's a chosen people. Ooh, and if there's a chosen people and they were smart enough to make us, then obviously we should let them be in charge. Obviously, they should be the leaders and we should be the servants. And we should willingly let them tell us what to do. And best of all, it all came from space. Boom, 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 boom. I can't remember the Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun. Now, where have I heard something like that before? Reminds me of something I can't quite put my finger on. Can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, yeah. Now I know what it is, and I can put a finger on it. That one right there. Oh, and I can put this finger on it too. I can put both of those fingers on it. Wow. And we didn't even get into the E-boys, E1 and E2, ETs, 2 E's. I know you're at a disadvantage because you're not taking the C60 purple power. You don't have the fountain of youth coursing through your veins like I do. You don't have the world's greatest antioxidant coursing through your veins like I do. You don't have the elixir that Cliff High says saved his life and his wife's life, but you can get it. Go to c60purplepower.com, use the code TCW10. And, you know, I joke, but Mystech changes your life. Fluffy changes your life. C60 changes your life. The rocket changes your life, literally changes your life, and literally helps you physically optimize so that you can help yourself spiritually optimize. It helps you unindoctrinate yourself. And that's what I'm in the business of, the unindoctrination business. And that business is a booming. This should be fun. We're about to go into the chat room. Ooh, this should be fun. This should be fun. This should be fun. Original scriptures destroyed. All are rewritten. Seems logical. Even more to research extraterrestrials. Mystical makes some good points. All of the scriptures were destroyed. As far as the extant scriptures, you can trace the Anunnaki ones probably haven't been destroyed as much. Probably more of them extant. Thanks for that comment, Mystical. I appreciate it. Sitchin was only one person. Thousands of others have said the same. Yes and no, Chris. If Sitchin had never said it, thousands of others probably never would have. And let me say this, Chris, I don't want to sound like your mama, but if thousands of others jumped off the roof of a 100-story building, would you jump off, Chris? Thousands of others have said the same thing as the worst fucking reason for ever believing anything. Word used intentionally. The astronauts. More and more, I agree with that. More and more, I agree with that. I want to stay free of doctrine and trust my inner self. J.P. Weld. Brilliant. Brilliant. Radnor says that civilizations fall for systems of mind control. Absolutely. Absolutely. John Ing said, we now live in a democracy. Wait, John. You got a problem. I don't even know what your point is, John, but you live in a democracy, but you're not in a democracy. This chat room is a benevolent dictatorship. It's my channel. And people come here to know what Jeff thinks, not what John Ing thinks. Now, John, if he's polite, can contribute to the discussion. He can even disagree with the discussion once, maybe twice, but he can't try to take the discussion over. That's what the John Ing channel's for. Just so you know. How do we know what were the original scriptures? What were the original scripts? Are you sure? And it is a script. Great question, Tracy Dyer. No picking and choosing from the tales. Well, you can pick and choose, Harry, but you at least need to be cognizant of the fact that you're picking and choosing. And it would be nice if you were honest about the fact that you're picking and choosing. I used to call it clothesline preaching. Oh, I like this one, I like that one, but I don't want the panties. Some of you would. That's your thing. I'm not hating on you. I'm just making an analogy. What are Freemasons' inventions? What are Freemasons' intentions? Can we say the rat bastard was schizo? Yeah. And is schizo if he's still around. Oh, wow. This is really good stuff. Really good stuff. Life is too short to find it all out. I don't think there's any danger of that unless you're a believer. Sitchin was a disinfo agent. That's kind of my conspiracy theory, and I'm still working on it. Let me share it with you. I can't prove it yet, but my blink knows that Zacharias Sitchin was either a crypto limb or a full-blown Jesuit, and his ties to Freemasonry and the fact that he got a audience with the Pope, one of the most conservative popes they've ever had, Pope John Paul, certainly does nothing to dissuade me from that opinion. And what he did was spin a tale that returned original sin in a different, more palatable package. He spun a tale that represented the need for a savior in a more palatable package. He basically changed the names to enslave the innocent and redid Christianity. No wonder the Pope wanted to shake his hand, because people that free themselves from the Extian fear and guilt mind control matrix run right back into the 2E matrix. It was almost too easy. It was almost too easy. John says your beliefs will cause you to behave as a human being. I say absolutely the opposite. As long as beliefs dehumanize you, beliefs de-individualize you, beliefs, people in herds have beliefs, sheep have beliefs. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Oh, Jeff, the chat room is delicious today. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sitchin spoke multiple languages, and I don't care if he spoke 10 languages. He couldn't translate Hebrew. We can't be from space. I agree. I agree. I agree. Mostly, I think, says mystical aliens are very fake. The more I think about it, aliens do the same thing that Anunnaki does, the same thing that believing in the AHAK, the Old and New Testament AHAK. What do aliens do? Oh, somebody's going to come save us. And they're powerful and we're weak. It creates the whole original sin. I need to save your matrix again. Think about it. It doesn't empower us. Oh, we need aliens to give us disclosure. No, we don't. We need aliens to give us free energy. No, we don't. We need aliens to get us from fighting each other. No, we don't. Why is it so hard for you to believe in yourself? Why is everybody's favorite song, well, give me something to believe in? Why can't you believe in you? Why can't you believe in you? I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. There's probably no planets as we've been led to think they are. I agree with you more and more every day on that, Tracy Dyer. Miss Space Cake might be the smartest lady in the chat room. She says, I believe nothing. I don't believe anything either. I don't believe anything either. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I really do. Miss Space Cake questions everything. The first time you hear Every time somebody says something to you, the first thing in your mind should be, is this true? And how do I know? Can I prove it? Can I prove it? Thank you, John. High praise. I appreciate it very, very much. I look at the Anunnaki info the same way I look at the Bible info. Some truth mixed in with fabrication. They're both fables. They're both stories. Cool story, bro. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And I know that, sometimes I joke around and we make, light of sexuality and things that have to do with sex. And that's okay because it's all right to have some fun. But you've got to know that male virility is under attack. You've got to know that male fertility is under attack. Specifically, the white race is not even reproducing at reproduction levels. That's why I endorsed the rocket. You can go to the www.getmyrocket.com/CWB. This technology usually costs you over 10 grand. And you got to go to some place somewhere and drop trowel in front of somebody you don't know. Nobody wants to do that, except for you sickos. Bring the technology at home. Get everything fixed up. Make sex great again. Make men great again. Make women great again. Make humans great again. The rocket, ladies and gentlemen. Go to getmyrocket.com/CWB and get ready for liftoff. Get ready for liftoff. The rocket. Boom. You know what I'm talking about, Danny Marshall. Abso-damn-lutely. Someone knows something or why make so many alien movies of reptilians. Maybe because alien movies and reptilian movies make money. I know it's a crazy thought. Jeffrey can tear apart all the bunk that's been taught. All I do is unindoctrinate, Miss Space Cake. I'm the happy contrarian. Shim means the nature of something. That's why names are important. Yeah, name, fame, renown, how you're known for, what you're known for. Exactly. Exactly. Rocket ship. I keep hearing Elton John in my mind. Yeah, there's no way to get rocket ship out of that. Let's see. Anunnaki clingers. We got to think of a better name for Anunnaki clingers. Cross clingers, very catchy. Anunnaki attachment syndrome. You're suffering from AAS. Anunnaki. We can't say that word anymore either. It does have power. We need one that becomes ass. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. And this person says base. I think they meant to say biased. But how is giving you objective information biased? It doesn't agree with what you agree. That doesn't make it biased. Brah. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it so much. Sitchin is instrumental in linking his codes to the Bible. Yes, he is, because he was really secretly supporting the Bible. Jamie says, this is refreshing. I'm very much a non-theist, not honoring any high deity. Thank you, Jamie. Me too. I know they're out there. I will sometimes work with them, but I ain't serving none of them. Why would I? I'm divine. I'm sovereign. I'm free. I'm divine. I'm sovereign. I'm free. And you know what? Tracy talks about those two names having magical triggering, and they obviously do. That's why when you say them, even someone that's a cousin that loves you, you say something bad about the E-boys, and man, they go off. They go off. It was rebranding. Thank you, Tracy. That's exactly what it was. It was rebranding. Let's see. Ooh, I like this. Same narrative, different story. It's all about disempowerment. It's all about there's got to be a boogeyman. Absolutely. People are the chosen people. Oh, this is a good one. Anunnaki. I like it. I like it. I like it. I think you mean biased. Learn to spell. How are you going to insult somebody with a misspelled word twice? Come on, man. Why do people want to be fooled by silly beliefs? Because it's easier than taking responsibility. Everybody wants to be a victim. Everybody wants to have somebody take care of them. Nobody wants to take responsibility. We take responsibility around here, cousins, because that's who we are. Really, Max? Max, are you deceived or just stupid? I mean, come on. We just sat here and showed you empirical proof that Sitchin botched his translations. And we just sit there and showed you empirical proof that nobody had translated it until he did. That was the beauty of it. He could say it meant anything because no one else had translated it yet into English. Look, man, if you're going to insult somebody, at least have listened to the program and don't say something that's already been overcome. You look stupid. I always liked Star Trek more than Star Wars. I knew there was a reason I liked Patricia. I knew there was a reason. Thank you so much. That's high, high praise. Ooh. E and Nike. Nike was actually a god too. So that is kind of interesting. That is kind of interesting. Yeah, Sitchin was the first bird to say it, and then thousands parroted him. Wow, that's amazing stuff. That's amazing stuff. What else we got here? It's very active chat room today. Now, this is interesting. They came to Earth, and I don't know about the whole they came to Earth thing, but could they have come from somewhere that nobody knew, but it was still on Earth? We'll just skip that part. Made themselves gods of men, fake gods for control and power, which if true makes sense with it. Boom, perfect. You got it. You deciphered it. That's exactly what the Anunnaki story is. A way to justify and to make us accept that there are better people on this earth and there's lesser people on this earth, and that we should bow down to them. What every pope wants you to do, what every priest wants you to do, what every pastor wants you to do, what every prophet wants you to do, what every guru wants you to do, and what no cousin wants you to do. Boom. I like it. Religion, any kind of religion, every kind of religion, says Jama, and she's right, is a system of keeping society docile and under control. Why do you think Lenin said that religion is a great opiate for the masses? The LEMISH, Vladimir Lenin. Oh, by the way. Oh, by the way. Are the Sumerians amongst us walking around, or are they underground or in the earth? Let me ask you, Stephen S. Are the Romulans walking around, or are they underground or in the inner earth? How about the Klingons? How about the Andorians? How about the Metrons? You get my point? Why would you assume that the Sumerians, the Anunnakis are real? They're just in another story. Is Hans and Greta walking around? Does Snow White live next door to you? You get the point. You get the point. You get the point. Thank you, Albert. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Deity alien, spirit guides, all the same. I don't know if higher self would be the same, Jamie. I might have a discussion with you about that, but I agree with that overall. The Watchers and the Igigi are Anunnakis. I agree with that 100% because the Watchers, the Igigi, and the Anunnakis are all fake as shit. I agree with you. They're all fake. Fake ass mofos. From fake books. Book of Enoch. I've proven it. Fake. Fraud. All right. We need to wrap this up. I can feel the well, no, I can't. Everything's still good. Thinking you put the fingers on it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like those fingers every now and then. Every now and then. What do you think about trusting your gut instinct? I call it my blink. And that's, I mean, yeah, I mean, I trust my blink, but my blink is trained and my blink is connected to source. So I would, generally speaking, trust your blink and then develop your blink and work on your blink. That's what I'm talking about. We need an ass. We do. Which could stand for Anunnaki. I can't think of an S syndrome. Oh, well, we'll come up with one. We will come up with one. Let's see. You can't say the A word because it has power. That's what we're trying to do is think of a way to not say it. I don't know, Troy. There's a lot of movies about unicorns and mermaids, but many people say that the mer people are true, and there's some compelling evidence that they might be true. I haven't really heard of any evidence of unicorns, but hey, you never know. No, I mean base. I don't know what you mean then, brah. A belief is not based in fact. It is an assumption. I like that. I like the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki? That has possibility. The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki. Or how about the Anunnaki? Because that brings a little bit of humor into it. Okay. I like that one. I like that one. Yeah, it is mockery. A little bit of mockery can go a long way. A long way. Let's see. Jeff, do you think that UFOs could be just humans from the future? Yes. Or how do we, it's an unidentified flying object. How do we know it's not from under the ocean? How do we know it's not from under the ground? How do we know it's not from some place that we don't know about? How do we know it's not from our government? How do we know it's not from some paragovernmental agency? How do we know it's not from the future or the past? Pardon me. Sorry about that. Listening to this interesting topic. Thank you. Appreciate it, TT. Pain makes you feel real. Yeah, but don't start cutting yourself and stuff. We don't want you going down that road. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Woke is a joke. I appreciate. Max, you are a special kind of special. Sitchin wasn't killed for nothing. Come on, man. That's like saying that Sitchin died of DOSOM WIST. Death of Sitchin. He was like 100 years old, man. Death of Sitchin. Well, death of Sitchin. Zechariah Sitchin. He was 90 years old. 90-year-old Zechariah Sitchin killed by the cabal. Why'd they wait till that bitch was 90 if they were going to knock him off? Oh, my God. That's about the funniest. Thank you, Max. You really need to do some stand-up. That's some funny shit. Sitchin was killed. Sitchin was literally killed for dispensing this information. They waited till that bitch couldn't dispense any more information. Then they killed him. 90 years old, killed. Oh my God. Thank you, Max. I needed that laugh. That's perfect. Beautiful. He was 90. 90 years old. Oh my goodness. That was funny. That was so funny. I love it. I love it. I love it. Extraterrestrial could very well mean more Earth outside our domed enclosure or just somewhere else. We don't allow the name of the virus in this chat. We don't. It's called the DOSOM WIST because we don't want that energy and we don't want it to get any energy. Oh, yeah. Don't forget about the Pleiadians, the Pupiladians. Everybody loves them too. I'm still Phantom. Give it up. Stop it. Oh, here we go again. No, he wasn't. The Anunnaki. I like that one, Jamie. The Anunnaki. Let's pull that one up for Jamie. That's a good one. I like it. The Anunnaki. I do like that. I do like that. This is funny. Keep trying to convince me otherwise. Why do you think we're in lockdown? The Anunnaki are coming back. You'll pay for your misdirection. Oh, that's good stuff. That is really, really good stuff. Anunnaki, I like it. The Shamunaki. The Shamunaki is probably better. The Shamunaki. I like that. The Anunnaki or the Shamunaki. I like the Shamunaki. I think I'm going to go with the Shamunaki. Oh, that's good stuff. That is really good stuff. That is really good stuff. Really, Jeff, you sound very cynical. Jacqueline, you should probably look up what cynical means. But see, when you present both sides of the information to a believer, that's called cynical. Sweetheart, if you got your mind made up, then don't stay here if I'm going to confuse you with the truth. You can your browser has a back button on it, and guess what? Here's a secret. There's a little X up in the top of the right-hand corner. If you press it, I'm gone. How about the Uranaki? That's a good one too. That's a good one too. Oh man. That's a good one. All right, guys, we made it to the end. Shamunaki. I like Shamunaki too. That's a great one. Well, folks, I know it's very, very hard sometimes when it's very easy to, somebody likes to ask Anunnaki, it's very easy to fool people and very hard to convince them that they've been fooled. And even harder to just give them the information and let them figure it out for themselves. But at the end of the day, that's the only ones you want in the foxhole next to you is somebody that figured it out for their damn selves. But every now and then we need a little help from our friends, and we are more than friends. We're cousins. We're the last generation of real humans. We're in the world changing business, and that business is a booming. And for Tracy Dyer and the great moderators, for the lovely Cynthia, I'm Jeffey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth, and encouraging you to unindoctrinate yourself and get busy, cousin.